Hello again there folks, TaterCat here. Today I will be reviewing a short collection of Junji Ito stories, this one in particular being called Smashed. It's like, I think it said 13 different stories, and I will be rating each story individually. The first one we started off with, I actually took notes for this one too, surprisingly enough. The first story is called Blood-Sucking Darkness. A girl develops an eating disorder after being rejected, and a boy she meets starts dieting with her. After she meets him, she starts having dreams of it raining blood and wakes up with blood on her face. There is some body horror in this one. I feel like body horror is where Junji Ito, is one of the areas he particularly excels in. This story in general, though, didn't really do it for me. I felt like it was kind of weak start. I gave that one a 6 out of 10. The next one is called Ghost of Primetime. Keisuke is a humorless person, so his friend takes him to a comedy club. A pair of women take on the stage and are painfully unfunny. One by one, though, the crowd starts to laugh uncontrollably. Keisuke seems to sense that there's something wrong going on in the club while everyone is just unable to stop laughing, so he drags his friend out. And his friend explains once they're out that he just started laughing and he couldn't explain why he started and why he couldn't stop. So then the question is, how did these women do that? I don't know, I liked the concept of this one, of what was causing the people to laugh. So I gave that one an 8 out of 10. The next one is called Roar. A pair of friends are hiking into the mountains when they hear the roar of rushing water. They find a giant flood full of people crying out for help. A village got wiped away by a giant flood. They try to follow it, but it just vanishes, and the path that it was going is completely dry. The only evidence it has of that flood ever going there is the grass that's in the path that it took is bent in the direction that the water was flowing. So they stay overnight in the woods, and the next day they come across the exact same flood in the exact same path, washing away the exact same people. And, it continues to just vanish. This one is a kind of more of one of those spooky ones. To me, it ends kind of like a bittersweet way. Obviously, I'm not going to say how it ends. I gave that one an 8 out of 10. The next one is called Earthbound. People across Japan start standing in random places looking like they are tied up or hanging from strings. No matter how hard other people try to move them, it's like trying to push around a giant stone statue. A girl named Asano is a volunteer of a group investigating why these people are just stuck there, and they refer to the stuck people as Earthbound. Now that I think about I originally gave it a 7.5, but I didn't really like the twist that was in it. It didn't do it for me, so I'm gonna change that one to just a 7 instead of 7.5. It's still a good story. It's got its sad bits, but eh. The next one is called Death Row Doorbell. A brother and sister are survivors of a brutal attack that killed their father and younger brother, and critically wounded the older brother and mother, and the mother unfortunately wound up succumbing to her wounds and dying. Their attacker did at least get arrested and put on death row, and the weird thing is, though, they're being haunted by basically his ghost, but he's still alive, and the ghost is just continuously begging for forgiveness. This is one of those... Another thing that Junji Ito does a lot is, Lovecraftian endings, where it ends bad. It's not a happy ending at all. I gave that one a 7 out of 10. The Mystery of the Haunted House. A strange haunted house opens up at the edge of a small town. It charges a ridiculously high price for admission, but makes good on its promise to completely terrify. Curious as to what could be so scary, the two boys sneak in. This is another one of those, winds up being pretty body horror-ish. Junji Ito's, again, good at making freaky people and monsters. I give that one an 8 out of 10. The next one is called The Mystery of the Haunted House, Soichi's version. Soichi, I know, appears in a few other stories. A woman is searching for her relatives, who is the family that runs the haunted house. Some comeuppance ensues. That was my note, was comeuppance. Comeuppance. It's a hard word to say. Ensues. I enjoyed the comeuppance quite a bit, so I gave that one an 8.5. The next one is Soichi's Beloved Pet. We follow the story of a young Soichi, the guy from the last two stories, but as a kid. His sister brings home a kitten, and everybody loves it because, kittens are cute. So Soichi becomes jealous because he's an edgy little turd and kind of a jerk, so his family's just like, why are you like this? So he winds up cursing the cat. It becomes violent, and it tears up the house, and it starts dragging in, like, centipedes, and I think at one point, it's a famous, screenshot of the cat bringing in this, like, spider with giant eyeballs and, like, a million legs. I'll see if I can put that up. But now the cat's also, like, super loyal to Soichi. The ending is also one of those, like, haha, you little shit. 7 out of 10. The next one is in Mirror Valley. A group of friends go to a place called Mirror Valley, where two villages exist on each side of a river. Both villages are abandoned, facing the other, and all of the walls are covered in broken mirrors, and all the mirrors are aimed at the opposite village. They do the same, they set up a mirror on each side of the river facing each other, so they can see why this village is abandoned and why there's broken mirrors all over the place. Not a Lovecraftian ending. I mean, ultimately they did find out what happened. I gave that one a 7. Now that I think about it, I'm gonna give that one a 6.5. I originally gave it a 7, but I'm not crazy about in Mirror Valley. The next one is I Don't Want to Be a Ghost. A man finds a woman on the mountain road, and she is basically just standing there completely catatonic, and her face is covered in blood. So he kind of manages to get her into the car and takes her to the hospital, because he doesn't want to just leave her out in the mountains. A few days later, she visits, and they become close, but she says weird stuff, like she likes him because he has so many guardian spirits. And then she just keeps saying weirder and weirder things. But why does she like him so much? What is she talking about with guardian spirits? You'd have to read it to know. I liked this one. The concept is creepy, but not really, but I like the concept. It's creepy. 8 out of 10. The next one is called Library Vision. A woman lives with her husband in a mansion where pretty much the entire mansion is just a giant library. It was an inheritance thing. These books have been in his family for, like, ages. One day, a book goes missing, and he begins to hallucinate characters from his father's favorite and his mother's favorite books. And he gets really paranoid and starts trying to make sure none of the other books disappear, to the point where he tries to just sit there and read all of them and cram it all into his brain, just in case they vanish. I remember I did like this one. It's one of those, like, watching somebody spiral and you can't do anything about it, so it was, again, the kind of disturbing where it's just sad. I gave that one a 9 out of 10. I liked that one. The next one is called Splendid Shadow Song. A street musician's song gets completely stuck in the listener's head, like anybody who hears it. This musician becomes famous, and obviously that means her music becomes freaking literally everywhere. And now there's an endemic of just a bunch of people with that song continuously playing in their head to the point where they can't even sleep anymore. It's bad. Again, it's one of those interesting concepts of just imagine that you're like, oh, I kind of like this song, and it's playing in your head, but it never stops. It just starts and it never stops. Your brain never quiets down after that. It just plays that song on repeat forever. It sucks. I give that one a 9 out of 10. And the last one is Smashed. the story that the book as a whole is named after. The man returns from South America with a jar of nectar that is so delicious it makes everything taste bad. He was given a warning by the natives, though: do not be noticed while eating it. His friends break in and steal the nectar because it's so delicious. They're just a little concerned because he's not home, but his bike is, and there's no signs of him having ever leaving. They just see this strange giant splatter on the wall. But they don't care, they go whatever. They steal the nectar, they eat it themselves. And then all of a sudden these people start randomly dying, like they were smashed by like a giant frickin' boulder or something. Just flat as a pancake. Not even bones survived. And they're just freaking out, obviously. The only other note that I put for this was Junji Ito draws really creepy tongues. Because he does. They're weird. I gave that one a 9 out of 10 as well. Because I think part of it was just the bizarre concept and the weird gore of people just... There was a lot of Lovecraftian endings. Some are sad, and a couple of them think, well, that's what you get. Because I read a bit of the inserts, and it did say that it's very obvious that Junji Ito does have some inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft is a giant icon of horror in general. So of course there's Lovecraftian endings. I have a few more of these, of just collections of Junji Ito stories. I started on another one already. I'll be doing the same format of taking notes of each story that I read, giving it a rating, and I will let you know when I am done with the next one. Like, subscribe, and all that noise. I'll see you in the next one, folks. Later.